Excellent. Well, welcome everyone to the Tuesday, June 16th, 2020 Sewage Commission meeting. And we're starting a little bit late, but that's okay. We think we gave ourselves some extra time. And we'll start off by acknowledging that we are on the unceded territories of the Comox First Nation. And we'll move straight into the management report. Someone move that for receipt.
Move receipt.
Second.
And that was Maureen, right? You got that. Excellent, thanks. Are there any questions on that? Wonderful. Okay, so unless someone speaks up now or raises their hand, I'll assume that we receive those unanimously. On to reports. Number one, the Comox Valley Sewage Management Advisory Committee minutes. If we could have someone.
Move receipt.
Second.
On the advisory committee minutes. Okay, is anyone opposed to receiving those? I don't see any hands going up. I don't hear anyone talking, so that's unanimously received. And we'll move to number two, the CFB pump station upgrade budget amendment. Move receipt of this report.
Move receipt.
Second.
Thank you very much. And I will hand it over to staff.
Thank you very much, Chair and Commissioners. And Charlie Gore is here to provide an update on this report and answer any of your questions.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, CAO. We are progressing in the detailed design of the CFB pump station project. And we have gone ahead and pre-purchased the pumps for the project, as it is a critical project that we need to get completed this year before the rainy season that it will be upon us in October. As we've progressed through the detailed design, we've come across a conundrum with regards to designing for modern day pump stations and safety of our operators. And what we're proposing in this staff report is to add a valve chamber to the side of the wet well that wasn't previously planned for in this project to ensure that the valves and equipment that is part of our everyday maintenance of the facility taken out of a hazardous confined space that our operators currently have to go into so that they can do their day-to-day jobs. This not only increases the safety of our workers, but reduces our maintenance costs and will reduce the capital expenditure costs by extending the life expectancy of the valves in that chamber, and also reducing the capital cost of the force main upgrade project, which is currently scheduled for approximately 20 to 25 years from now. The increase in cost for the project for this valve chamber is an additional $300,000. So that is the recommendation being put forward to the Sewage Committee today. Sewage Commission. And staff is recommending that this is money very well spent to really bring this pump station in line with best practices for the industry. Very happy to answer any questions.
So that there are safety considerations here that this helps out with.
I'm really having a hard time hearing everybody.
Is that any better?
Yep.
Oh, you got to kiss the mic.
Sorry, would you like me to go again then, Ken?
Definitely can't hear Ken.
Did you catch that, Will? The review of the report.
I caught some of it. I'd like to understand a little bit more about the safety considerations. I didn't catch that in enough clarity.
Yeah, and there were some safety considerations, there were some operational considerations, and then some possible cost savings down the line.
Absolutely. So the current arrangement of the pump station out at CFB Comox is that the pumps themselves and the check valves and the isolation valves are all within a hazardous confined space. They're within what we call the wet well of the sewage pump station. So anytime that we need to go in there to exercise those valves, do maintenance on the check valves to ensure that the pump station can continue operating effectively, our operators have to enter that hazardous confined space, which has a complicated procedure and requires multiple personnel to stand watch and be ready to enact any rescue plans. What we're proposing as part of this added infrastructure, as part of this project, while we proceed with replacing the pumps and the valves, is to take those valves out of that hazardous confined space and put them in an external valve chamber. This is how all sewage pump stations are built as part of best practice in the industry these days, because it's not seen as an acceptable risk to send operators into these hazardous confined spaces on a regular interval. But of course, there are some hangovers of older pump stations like this where it's still prevalent. So by adding this component to this infrastructure project, we would really be bringing this pump station forward into best practice. And by taking those valves out of that hazardous atmosphere, you actually increase the longevity of their service life. So if we keep those valves within that hazardous confined space, they are due to be replaced within 5 to 10 years, whereas by moving them out, they should last at least 25 years. In addition, when we go to replace the force main, which is scheduled for 20 to 25 years from now, we will have already set up with the new header infrastructure coming out of this new proposed valve chamber that will allow us to save costs on that force main replacement project.
And it sounds like operationally it could be less expensive with less safety procedures every time you need to do something. Or...
Absolutely. So when the operators would go to do their regular maintenance, they would be able to enter this chamber without having the same personnel on standby at the hatch, ready to enact any rescue procedures.
Okay, thanks. And there's a question from Director Cole Hamilton.
Yeah, great. Thanks very much. I appreciate hearing that. And on all three counts, it sounds like a very wise amendment to the plan. I was just curious, Chris, as to why it would be that this wasn't originally part of the plan, given the number of reasons that in its favor.
Yeah, it's a good question. This project is a replacement project. So the pumps, which normally have a service life of approximately 25 years, have been extended past that and have been operating since 1981 in this pump station, and have been maintained by our crew on their last legs. And so we budgeted to replace those pumps this year, and that was the extent of the planned project, was to get in there and replace these pumps. However, as we've gotten into the detailed design of all the finer details in replacing those pumps, we've realized that we have to replace the valves in that wet well as well. And as part of that, it was brought to us by our detailed designer saying, if you are going to replace these valves and replace this header within this wet well, it would be best practice for you to move these out of the wet well. And that was the genesis of this staff report.
I suppose typically when we budget for these things, we do look at a higher level estimate before we actually get into the work. So that would make a lot of sense. Director Cole Hamilton, do you have another question? I noticed your hand still up.
No, that answered my question. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And Director Morin?
Sorry about that. Yeah, I can't really hear either one of you. I could barely hear any of that exchange. Chair Frisch, I can't really hear you at all.
Can you hear me right now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So did you hear any of the presentation, or are there pieces maybe we?
I had to really strain to hear it. I could, but it was very difficult. And when you started speaking after the presentation, I couldn't make out anything that you said.
Okay.
Thanks.
Is there anyone else in the meeting that's having difficulty hearing? maybe you can raise your hand if you're also.
Wow, okay.
I can hardly hear either.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Well, I mean, we'll do our best. We want you to hear the information before making a decision. So is this volume okay for you?
Yeah, I can hear you much better now. Thank you.
And Director Grant, how is this volume for you?
It's better, but still not great.
Might it be worth people trying to phone in instead?
It's not a bad suggestion.
I have my video off, which usually does help, but
And Director Bissinger, how are you for volume?
You're muted.
Director Swift, how are you?
I can hear you.
Say again.
I can hear just.
And Lieutenant Colonel Gerard.
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Okay, so Director Morin, you're having difficulty hearing, and Director Grant, you're having difficulty hearing.
If you speak loudly the way you are now, I can, it's okay.
Okay, and alternate Director Bissinger, can you hear us at all?
I'm gonna try calling in to see if that helps. Thanks.
Okay. And alternate Director Bissinger, how is the volume for you?
Hear you guys just fine. I think it's because my headphones are plugged in, so I can't hear and speak at once. But can you hear me?
Yep, you're coming through loud and clear.
Okay, yeah, you guys as well. That's fine.
So Director Grant, is there any part of the report that we could go over just to bring you up to speed on what you might have missed?
No, I could just barely hear you, but I think I got what you were saying.
Okay. And I'm just going to wait for Director Morin to get on the line, and then we'll just see what else information she might need.
Just to make this quicker, when I'm trying to find the phone number, is it the 1301 number? Can someone give me the telephone number? Underneath the Zoom link, it's showing telephone 1301715. Is that the number I'm calling?
That's a US number, Director Moore, and we can email you a Canadian number, and then you just need to plug in the webinar link. But that should also be noted. It's noted in your invite, the webinar ID. It's a.
Unfortunately, I didn't really hear any of that.
My apologies. So, Director Moore, and the webinar ID is listed in the invitation. That
Yes.
Yep. And then the phone number, Lisa Dennis is just going to email that to you right now, so that it's a Canadian number.
Sorry for this, but I can't find the Canadian number there.
Well, so we're going to send it to you right now. We're going to.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Welcome to Zoom. Enter your meeting ID followed by pound. Appuyez sur le 0 pour choisir français. You have not entered any numbers. Please re-enter your meeting ID.
Hey, hi, Wendy. Can you hear me? Hi, Wendy. Can you hear me okay?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so we need to mute. Oh, she's muted. So can you hear me, Wendy?
Not that great. I'll just do my very best to, this isn't really any better. Thanks.
Okay, thanks for doing your best. I'm really hot. Okay, so I'm gonna, can we go back to the analyst view? And does anyone have any questions on this report? Okay, I don't see any questions, so this is on receipt, and unless someone raises their hand or speaks up, then I'll assume that we're going to receive this unanimously, and not seeing any that passes and is received, and we'll move on to the recommendation. Does somebody want to read that out?
I'll move it.
Okay, and then we have a seconder.
Second.
And the recommendation is that the 2020 to 24 financial plan and capital expenditure program for the sewage service be amended by increasing sewer infrastructure expenses in 2020 for the CFB pump station upgrade project number 1075 by $300,000 funded from an increased transfer of capital works reserve to accommodate a separate valve chamber for enhanced worker safety and equipment longevity. Are there any questions on that? Not seeing anyone, I'll do a roll call, and I'll start with Director Swift.
In favor.
Director Bissinger.
In favor.
Director Morin.
In favor. I have the phone right by my ear, so I'm not sure why there's a big echo here.
Director Cole Hamilton.
In favor.
Director Grant. Director Grant.
In favor, sorry.
No problem, and I'm in favor, so that's unanimous. Thanks very much for everyone's patience on this. We'll move into new business, and that's the request for a recreational vehicle sandy dump site. This correspondence came through the city of Courtenay. It may have come to the CBRD independently, I can't remember, but Wendell M has brought up the issue of not having sufficient locations for recreational vehicles to empty their sewage, and he's suggesting that the city of Courtenay find a solution. So we've forwarded here to the Sewage Commission because we in Courtenay thought it might be a regional project. And the staff have anything to add to this?
No, but we are familiar with the proposal and can answer any questions that the commissioners may have.
Do any of the commissioners have any questions about the correspondence that was sent? Or any comments?
Chair Frisch, should I move receipt?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, that's wonderful. Thanks.
And also, I've generally been able to hear you, but it is getting more challenging. I'm not sure how hard it is to for other people to hear you.
Okay, so can I get a seconder to receive this?
I'll second.
Thanks. And did someone have their hand up? Okay, I'll pass it over to staff here for comment.
Thanks, Chair. I just wish to acknowledge that the Commission has received a number of letters of support for this initiative from members of the public. Those have been posted to the Director's correspondence site and are accessible there.
Thanks very much. Not seeing any hands go up, any questions or comments, I would actually suggest that once we dispense with receipt of this, that we request that staff provide us with a preliminary report looking into the ability of the sandy dump, possible partnerships, and just general information about how this service could be provided, whether it's from us, the government, or the private sector. And I noticed that Director Swift has raised her hand.
Well, I guess it was kind of along the same lines. I think the request is reasonable, but I'm just wondering about the costs. So if we were to ask for a staff report, I guess we'd get all that information.
Yeah, well, I think we definitely have a first step, working towards seeing what the details would look like. I would say it'd be a preliminary report. It might not have all the answers, but would at least conversation moving. Alternate Director Bissinger.
Yeah, thank you. I also am in support of getting a staff report on it, and hopefully if we could, if it is feasible to do, if we could action it sooner than later. I know there's a huge focus on explore local BC, explore locally. So that just means a lot of more RVs are going to be around traveling, touristing within our economy. So I think it'd be worthwhile to have a look at it and maybe get something set up this summer if that's an option. So I don't know if I need to make a motion to have a staff report or if you've already done that, but I'm happy to put that forward.
Well, technically we're just on receipt. Is anyone opposed to receiving this at this point? Not seeing anyone, I'll consider it received unanimously. And if someone wants to move that, staff provide us with a preliminary report on that would be great.
I'll move it.
Second.
Thanks. And I would also just put a caution that this is a project that may not happen super quickly because we are obviously doing a lot of other things right now. And this would likely require a partnership with the municipalities. So there is quite a bit of work to be done here. I do understand that Mr. Land has done a lot of work for us, but there are some other considerations that are likely going to take some time. So I just put that caveat on it. I don't want to get anyone's hopes up that we're going to have something up and running in the next month. But are there any other questions or comments on this?
Got to speak up, Dave. Can't hear you.
I'm sorry. I was just saying, are there any other questions or comments on this? Okay, not seeing any. I'll do a call for the motion. Director Swift.
In favor.
Director Bissinger.
In favor.
Director Morin.
In favor.
Director Cole. Wendy, can you mute yourself? Can we mute Wendy? Director Cole Hamilton.
I'm in favor. Favor.
Director Grant. Director Grant.
In favor.
Thank you. And I'm in favor, so that passes unanimously. And we will move on to section F, which is is there an addendum? No, there's no. Yeah. Do we need to approve this? Would somebody move the approval of consideration of this item, please?
Move approval. Consideration.
It's number 1. It's the WSP contract, right?
I'll move it.
Yeah.
Second.
Thanks very much. And does it need to be a certain amount for this? Like, is it just pass or fail? Is anyone opposed to adding this item? And you can put your hand up or just speak up if you're opposed. Okay, not seeing any, we'll add it as agreed upon unanimously. And so moving into the WSP contract amendments for the Comox Valley Sewer Service Liquid Waste Management Planning Process, and I'll pass it over to staff.
Thank you, through the chair. Good afternoon, everyone. So apologies for the late delivery of this report. We'd originally planned to have a verbal update, but decided that it would be best to accompany it with a very brief report. So after a competitive procurement process, WSP was awarded the contract for the liquid waste management planning process.
Chris, you got to talk louder.
Okay. How's this? Is that better?
It's better if you swallow it. It's better. Yeah.
My lips are brushing the mic here. Okay. So after the competitive procurement process in early 2018, WSP has been assisting and guiding the LWMP process since then. After the Sewage Commission approved the short list of options in March, we were poised to implement an intensive 2 months of consultation. So as we all know, shortly after that, the COVID-19 pandemic hit and public consultation became a real challenge. So the decision was made and supported by the Sewage Commission to delay consultation until late summer. So the silver lining of this, the silver lining is that it provides us additional time to undertake further due diligence. So to this end and to the purpose of the report is to inform the Sewage Commission that staff have awarded an amendment to the WSP contract to undertake some preliminary investigations and allow us to resolve any potential red flags with each of the three shortlisted options that are being carried forward. And this includes geotechnical to assess the feasibility of the two tunneling options, as well as hydrological work, hydraulic grade lines, and some structural assessments of the pump stations. So as well as ensuring that the recommended conveyance solution in November doesn't have a fatal flaw, the work will also give us a head start on the subsequent detailed design. A detailed designer or engineer for the delivery of the project will be secured via a competitive procurement process after a recommended approach in November. So funding for the amendment will come from the capital budget allocated for this project in 2020. That's it for me. I'm happy to answer some questions.
Are there any questions? And this is just for information, and we are on receipt. Thank you very much, Chris. Is anyone opposed to receipt? Director Swift.
Sorry, I'm not opposed to receipt. I just wanted to ask Chris, are they going to be addressing the concerns with the aquifer tunneling through the hill at Lazo?
So I think the short answer is yes. There is hydrological investigations included in the scope that will provide the necessary study work to be able to answer questions and concerns that come up from residents during the consultation period later in the summer and early fall. So that's the way to look at it, is that we're effectively building a 3D model of the Lazo Hill, which will allow us to provide the framework to answer and respond to questions and concerns about impacts to groundwater quality and quantity during the consultative process.
Is that correct, Director Swift?
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? And is anyone opposed to receipt of this report? Director Swift, you still have your hand up, but I know, thank you very much. So we'll consider that received. And I'd like to apologize to Lieutenant Colonel Gerard, who I have not done a roll call for yet, so my apologies. If you want to be recorded in opposition to any of the previous motions, you just let me know, and I'll remember you on the next one. We're moving to the in-camera resolution. Would somebody like to move that motion, please?
I'll move it.
Second.
Thanks, and that's to go in camera pursuant to the following subsections of the community charter, and that's 91K negotiations and related discussions respecting a proposed service. Okay, does anyone have any questions on that? I will do a quick roll call, starting with Director Swift.
In favor.
Director Bissinger.
Here, in favor.
Director Morin.
In favor.
Was that was Director Cole Hamilton.
In favor.
Director Grant.
In favor.
And Lieutenant Colonel Gerard. Now I've ignored you for so long. You're ignoring me. And that's fair.
No, it's all right. In favor.
Thanks. And so